Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. With me, as always, my good friend Jim Stam. How you doing, brother?
Dude, as you can see, I am in my freshly finished office that I just embarrassingly spent way too many man hours. I use that term loosely, but I'm feeling comfortable. The place looks good. I don't know if the podcast will be better, but I'm in a better spot mentally. So let's go.
You got calluses all over your hands now and shit now? Is that what's going on?
I did not cut any fingers off, and no injuries. So that's a positive right there.
This is awesome. So did you have to borrow a Lowe's truck? That's another question I have to ask.
No, actually, that's why I love my 4Runner, Gary, because I got that drop window in the back. And I can fit like 12-foot boards in there, and I'll never get rid of my 4Runner just for that. So
there you go, man. So, you know, somebody got rid of a pitcher, and the Pirates picked him up, Genesis Cabrera. What do you say we talk about that a little bit? I saw a little bit of who's that and stuff like that, but I think this is a decent swing at a replacement lefty. I mean, I think they really felt like they needed one.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Baraki's situation, and I haven't seen, have they said anything about the long-term look with him? With Baraki?
No, it just seemed to be a lower back thing, and he had that a little bit last year too. So, you know, for all I know, that could drag on the rest of the season, or it could just keep him from being right all season anyway, so it hardly matters, right?
Yeah, and let's be honest, he hasn't looked all that great anyway. The Cabrera thing's interesting simply because he's not having a good year.
Right.
It's only like, less than 20 innings pitched. But he does have a career ERA, I think, right around 4. So I think can be wild at times. But, I mean, for what's available, it's worth a swing.
I mean, you figure Tim Mays has been hurt pretty much all year, so there's one of those lefties. We were worried at one point they were going to have 4 lefties in the bullpen, remember?
Right.
Now they're down to Caleb Ferguson. So it did make total sense to go get one. I was actually starting to wonder if lefty in the bullpen was how we were going to see Hunter Barco's career start, because I was a little concerned that all they had was Caleb Ferguson. You know, there's too many situations where you need a lefty arm to only have one. And on top of that, it's one of their back end arms. So you can't just use them whenever you really need them, like early on.
Yeah, and I'm looking like 2024. I mean, he had 62 and 2/3 innings. The ERA was 3.59. So you could probably do worse than that. I think it just comes down to the fact, can he throw strikes? Really is what it's going to come down to.
Yeah. And I honestly, I think the Pirates have done pretty well finding pitchers and seeing what they can get out of them. You know, Dennis Santana is one of those success stories. Ryan Baraki himself is one of those success stories. So they must see something if they went ahead and signed him for a full year, right? And hey, if he works out, there's another trade chip at the deadline.
Right. And here's the thing. They did give him a major league deal from what I saw. Yeah. So they are expecting him to come in and provide innings. It's nothing exciting, but he's going to have to pitch.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's going to be all right. I think the bullpen itself, it's taken a lot of hits this year. I think that we probably expected Dennis Santana and Bednar and Holderman to be like that back end, right? Actually, we probably went into spring thinking Majinski had a shot at being one of those back end guys. It just has not worked the way we thought.
Yeah, and Nicholas, everyone talked
Nicholas.
About Kyle Nicholas too. It's a shame. They've had so many problems elsewhere. It's a shame the last couple years that the bullpen hasn't been settled more than it has been. I do wonder, Chapman, would it have been worth re-signing him? I think he's having a very good season in Boston. So just something that I thought of the other day. I wonder if he was willing to re-sign here.
I don't know. I think he's having an okay season in Boston, at least. I don't know about great. I don't hear him getting complained about nearly as much as some others over there. So he must be doing pretty well. I don't know. It's always worth a shot. I'm not sure why you would move on from him. I liked, in a way, getting a couple different lefties to kind of break that up, because they had a very similar problem last year where they needed him in the back end and he was like their only lefty. So I guess I can see like wanting to split that money up, and I don't mind the way they did it. Barucki and Meza and Caleb Ferguson, a decent swing at having some lefty help in that bullpen. None of them as effective as Chapman, but important to have a few more than one.
Right. And I just pulled up Chapman. Gary, he's actually having a fantastic year. 1.36 ERA.
There you go.
48 Ks and 33 innings and a 0.82 whip.
Very good.
So, yeah. So, anyways, just a thought.
One would think that wouldn't be the best ballpark for him either. With the Green Monster there. You would think like righties having that shorter porch, that might be kind of advantageous for them. I'm surprised he's doing as well as he is, actually.
Yeah, I mean he's having a fantastic year. So, again, you can argue with the amount of money to spend on one guy when a team has so many other needs, like the Pirates. But I think we would be feeling a lot better if he was back there.
I mean, considering it's pretty clear they left money on unspent. In the coffers, I think there's really no excuse to have not gone that direction if you thought he was going to help. But I never know, like, when you necessarily think you're going to be done when you get to that age. Same concern we have about some other players,
Well, it's going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of now, when, not if. So sooner or later, someone will get caught holding the bag on him, but he still keeps doing it. So
absolutely. So today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about this Mitch Keller rumor to the Cubs. I want to talk a little bit about Oneil Cruz as he's gone through it this week. It's been kind of an up and down week for Oneil Cruz, mostly down.
Yeah, we got Keller. That's especially with the Cubs being attached to it, that adds another element to it. And the Cruz thing, man, what more can you say than there are hot button topics in Pittsburgh, and Oneil Cruz is absolutely on the Mount Rushmore of that. He just is.
He absolutely is. All right, let's take that quick break. We'll come back. We're going to dive right in on that. We'll probably get to call your shot too really quick in that second segment.
Let's do it.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports. Jim, before we get into our topic, we should probably just say next week, too, we're going to do a lot of all-star game stuff, and we're going to do a lot of draft stuff. We're going to knock all that out next week. That's going to be fun. And 2 weeks from this show, we're going to have Travis Snyder back on. So
old friend.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions about youth sports, if you're a parent like Jim and you're running around having your kid knock his eye out of his socket and and live the dream of being a sports parent, and it's turning your beard as white as Jim's, and you've got questions for Travis Snyder. Start popping them into us, because we're going to make sure that we get him as many of them as possible. He's going to bring his business partner on with him too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would say that what I like about having Travis on, we get to talk a little baseball, get to talk some Pirates. We get to actually talk about, I think, something that obviously we dove into it last time, which is youth sports and the expectations and the pressure and how parents deal with it. And so I'm looking forward to it. I thought it was a fantastic conversation with him last time, and I'm really looking forward to it again.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So anyway, get your questions in. I'll put something formal up on social media to kind of prompt you to do the same. I think it's cool. The more you guys participate, the better the questions will be.
Absolutely.
Everybody's situation is different. So Mitch Keller rumored to go to the Chicago Cubs, huh? I mean, I hate that, first of all. I'll throw David Bednar in there too, because David Bednar was also rumored to go to the Cubs. I think trading within this division says an awful lot more about the intentions of this team moving forward than not. Like, if I'm trading a guy with term like Mitch Keller to the Cubs, that's not just saying I give up on this year. That's saying here's this guy we cared enough about to lock up for 4 or 5 years. Here you go. You guys take him. It's cool. And how many times did we say when we talked about this Mitch Keller deal, it has to come back with major league talent or it's a no-go, right? Are you going to get that from the Cubs right now?
Well, let's wind the clock back just a little bit before we actually start talking about specifics. It's interesting because, Gary, I don't have the same reservations about trading within the division. Would it be my first choice? No, obviously. But to me, it really just comes down to if you can get the right pieces back, and that's the $64,000 question with Ben Cherington and the Pirates, then I don't think it precludes me from wanting to do it. I look at it like very differently. Like in football, like obviously you don't want to trade a quarterback within the division and have him beat your ass for the next 10 years. I just don't see it at that level in baseball. And Mitch Keller, as much as I value him, I don't see it with pitchers of Mitch Keller's caliber. So that's just really like, I know people have like the comments right now. Some are saying not a fan of doing it. Do it if it's the right, return. Yeah, I'm okay with it. Is there a reason that it sticks with you to not want to do it more, or why do you think people have that reaction?
I can't explain why everybody has that feeling. I can only explain why I have that feeling. And for me, it's mostly about timing. If this was 2021, I wouldn't care. I don't think you're supposed to be anywhere near winning, and I think you're going to trade off anything that could potentially be seen as something that's going to help you win.
You mean just like when they traded Quintana to the Cards?
No, I don't mean like that at all, because Quintana didn't have term.
Well, I meant is,
okay, that's who they do that with.
I meant that they weren't close to contending, so it didn't matter where you traded them to, in the sense of
it wouldn't matter to me if it didn't have term, period. If it goes beyond that year, if it's beyond a rental, I have no interest in trading in the division when I think I'm near my window. That's all I'm saying. You move a big piece like that you were just claiming was part of your window, and it's in the division, you're either wrong about the guy, you hope, or you don't think you have a chance to win that division. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe Sherrington is just so damn sure that it doesn't matter to him. He's got it all figured out. Doesn't matter if he trades in the division. This is chess. This is chess, not checkers.
I think it should be, but I don't think we have a guy that's capable of that. Like we've had Judd Verno on here before, and he writes those trade pieces on my website too. Great guy. He and I debate about baseball a lot because this dude loves to fight about, especially about trades. All right, and he thinks everything under the sun should be traded. When we talk about trades, he drives me nuts because he'll come up with these great trade ideas, and they are truly well thought out. But they're all like, I want the number 1 prospect and the number 4 prospect. I don't want any fucking prospects. I don't want them. Not for Mitch Keller. You don't understand what I'm looking for if you think that I care that they've got major league talent supposedly blocked. I've heard that before. How many times have people tried to sell me Andujar, who is doing great right now? But I'm just saying, like, blocked talent is blocked for a reason.
Right. I mean, either like blocked is hard to prove, fully. It sounds great to the team that's saying that they've been blocked, that we've got all these guys. So I do question that.
Here's a real good point. What if you get a long-term stick back? Right. That's the goal. That's what you want. I totally agree. Here's my thing. You get a top prospect back from the Cubs. Say you get their number 1 overall prospect. You won't. But let's pretend that you would. The Cubs aren't going to give that guy up. Okay? He's too good. And they're not giving you Matt Shaw that just started at third base for them either. That's another one that you could kind of confuse with a top prospect. Both could be considered long-term sticks, good bets at long-term sticks, right? I really doubt, and I'm not even just doing this because of Pirates development stinks and all that. I really doubt you're getting in 2026 anywhere near the best of what that kid is going to do. I think you're probably looking at 27, 28 before you start seeing the best of what that kid can do. I really mean firmly, I want a major league bat back if I'm moving Mitch Keller. There's no reason to demand less than what you want. You don't have to move the guy. We've got plenty of time. You don't have to do that at all. Get exactly what you want or bunk.
I do think it's a thing to remind people that, this isn't like now or never. Right. Yeah. Like the trade deadline, like we're getting hyper focused on it because it's Pittsburgh, and what else do we have to talk about when July rolls around but the trade deadline and selling pieces. But I mean, and that's what this really comes down to is like, man, if you get what you want and it's the right return, do it. If it's not and it just doesn't line up, you have the off season. Just relax. Don't take something just because you've talked yourself into it, or as a fan, you've talked yourself into it that it's got to happen at the trade deadline. It does not.
I don't know. I get you.
Ray, I'm not.
Ray, here's another one. If the kid is better than Pham or Canario and can get better, why not? I'm going to assume you meant get better. Agree, though, on wanting to move Keller in the offseason. Okay, but Pham and Canario, just bringing them up at all is outthinking what I'm talking about. You're focused on this year. I'm not. I just want a major league bat back that I'm positive will be a part of helping me in 2026. Period. What it does to this year's record or this year's line, I could give a crap. My point is literally, I want major league talent back that helps immediately, or I don't move this asset. I find another way to go. If I want prospects, I got plenty of them. I got plenty of prospects. I can get prospects. That's what I'm going to get back for every single one of these rentals. Maybe I'll pack 3 or 4 of them together and toss them off. Maybe I'll pack
Well,
Dennis Santana and Bednar together and get a hitting prospect that's blocked somewhere. You know?
yeah, and that's the thing. Like when you talk about Keller, and that's the difference between him and the other pieces we're talking about, is that it really is your best chance to get the best return. So if you're talking about even Bednar at this point, I gotta tell you, and I gotta warn people that like I don't think you're going to get the return you want out of that. I'm of the mindset that you trade him, simply because of what his arbitration is going to look like next year, and the fact that they finally got back to this point with him that he's actually a piece you can move. But I would caution against you expecting some fantastic return from him. You'll get a good prospect out of him, but I don't know that it's going to go more than that.
Yeah. I think that's my concern anyway. Okay. And just in the division, I think for me it's just a competition thing. We haven't won the division since the early 90s. We've never won this version of this division. So there. I just think it's time to like start aiming for the division. You got a pitching staff that should be able to do it. Right there under the hood, if you put it together right. I'm willing to trade off a big ass piece of it. I just need to make sure that big ass piece I'm trading, I'm truly balancing the scales on the other side. If I'm not, or I'm just taking another shot at it, or I'm getting another Hoy Park, Diego Castillo, and I don't want that, or Colin Moran or whatever. No. I want somebody that I've seen do okay. I think that's out there.
You can get the Leover Pegueros for them when they're young and have high ceilings and whatnot. And that's not to put it to knock him. I'm just saying, but like those are the returns you get on guys, and more often than not, it does not work out. And that's not just with the Pirates; that's with everybody. Pirates are worse at it, but the hit rate on those types of guys are not super high.
I love the idea of talking to a team like the Rays not the Rays, the A's, because the A's have a hard time adding salary. They need to. They have a hard time getting guys to sign long-term deals with them. If you could work out something where you trade like Mitch Keller to the A's, they've got a ton of legitimate young talent that's here that they would be willing to trade the blocker as opposed to the blockee. And the blocker probably has 2 years of a Major League Baseball experience already under his belt. So
yeah,
I think like
right.
the A's might be a good place to look as they continue to add on like the Kurtz and the Wilsons and the other pieces that are like, maybe now's the time to go and try to pry away a JJ Bleday that you wanted a couple years ago. Now that he's been in the league for 2-3 years, you trade Keller for him, and it's a swap of like good for good. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm making this one up on the fly completely, I swear to God. But like, that's the kind of trade that would interest me if I could pull it off for Mitch Keller. And neither of those teams thinks they're going to playoffs. It's just a swap.
Yeah, you're just essentially trying to improve your team beyond this year is what you're doing if you're both those teams. The A's have a reason to want to do that as well. I keep seeing on the comments, and guys, I agree with you. Like, great. I don't have faith in Sherrington either, but he's here right now, and he might be here. I don't know. The reality is, and the question that I would ask everybody is, what if he's here? Would you just prefer them to do nothing? Like nothing at all?
Yeah, I
mean, like that, because that's the alternative if he's gonna be here. So we can say like he doesn't deserve to be here, he shouldn't be here, he won't be here. Well, as of right now, he is. So do you want to die trying, or just say, well, Sherrington sucks, and so forget it all, and we'll just stand pat? I don't think that's a viable path either, is it?
No. Remember when I said that I was making up that trade on the fly and just like completely trying to explain it? Don't you love that? Thank you. That's why I had to throw it in there that I was making it up on the fly, just because I knew there was going to be someone out there checking stats. It's absolutely not what I was trying to do.
It's way easier to Google when you're not doing the show. Okay.
Yes.
So give Gary a break. Give me a break sometime.
Anyways, we should probably call your shot, because I don't think we're done questioning this Ben Cherington thing. Okay. I really don't.
Okay. So this leads into, I just don't know, like, great. I agree with you. I don't trust him either, but like, what's the alternative? Just if he's going to be here, we don't do anything, Gary? Like, we don't?
I agree with you. But Taylor's down in Nashville drinking and thinking about Ben Cherington. So I'm just trying to foreshadow what you're going to see here, okay?
Sounds like a drunk country song to me.
It sure does.
I'm back. What's up, guys? Gary Jim, missed you last week. Thanks for filling in for me. I was in Disney last week. I'm in Nashville right now, but I'm here for another week of Call Your Shot, and got a question for you Bucco fans. But first, let's have a drink, because we all know everyone that's a Pirate fan needs one right now. Shout out to Tailgate Brewery here for the nice brew here. This week's winner is going to be Rich Thompson. Rich's question is, BC is a lame duck GM, then the trade deadline will be much ado about nothing. At least, Bednar will likely not be traded to allow Nutting to keep some positive PR. Need to counteract Brickgate, etc. I don't even know what to say, guys. This team is just off the rails. I'm out of words. Let's just get rid of this guy. Come on. Cheers, you guys. Have fun tonight. I'll be watching, and let's go Bucks. While I'm here real quick, don't forget, anyone watching this, listening to this, FanForum10 promo code, $10 off your order. Shopyins.com, Pirates, Penguins, Steelers, any black and gold shit you need, we got it. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Changing the game, spitting that flame. His name is all. I got that Pittsburgh sound, and I'ma always hold Pittsburgh down.
I like the question, first of all.
I think Taylor was feeling pretty good in that clip there, by the way.
I think he was. I was just looking at Airbnbs down there because we're trying to plan a little fall getaway here.
Are you finally recording that country album you've always wanted to record?
Well, now that AI can sing songs for you, absolutely. So, I mean, why not? Everyone else is getting away with it. I don't have the body for it, but you know.
You have auto-tune, so you'll be good.
It's not going to make me look like Sabrina Carpenter. It might make me sound like her, but
that's a scary thought.
So, yeah. Anyway, call your shot. Definitely go and use that promo code. And they do have some cool new shirts too. I showed you one last week. Make sure you do get over there and check that out.
You modeled it. What are you talking about? You modeled it.
I love the point,
sexy
though.
Young thing, you.
I love the point Rich made though about Bob Nutting, because I can see that being something that he would consider to be unpopular and not understand the baseball reason behind it is sound, if you know what I mean. So what do you think? Is there a way that he's a fly in the ointment here? He has been before. That's been reported.
This is an irrational thought, but I've thought of it. I'm like, what if Bob only signs off on a Bednar deal to like the Cubs if he gets Ian Happ in return? like it's got to be a partial Yinzer for Yinzer swap. Like, I don't know.
I like to think that Bob would have the sentimentality of wanting to keep Bednar. I think he probably would like that. He does every single one of his little events, you know. But I would think for Bob, it probably comes down to somebody just shoving the arbitration estimate under his nose, and then that's probably it, right? That said, is David the type that might just go like, well, screw it. I'll just pull a Kutch. I'll stay here for $5 million a year. What do you do then? I might actually be interested in that.
I would think David Bednar, as much as he likes being from here, and it seems like it's important to him, and maybe too important to him sometimes, that is part of some of his ups and downs when he's pressing. But I would think that, like, at some point as a competitor, you do want to go play for something, right? So I think that tends to win out over the long term, Gary, that like you want to eventually play some meaningful baseball. So
I think that too, and I also think that at his age, because of how his career has timed out, he's really only going to get one shot at a real contract. You know as well as I do, it's going to be like a 3-year deal somewhere, probably 2-3-year deal, and then he'll be singles after that for the most part.
Sure, as long as he lasts.
Yeah, because that's just how it's done. Now, unless you're Mariano Rivera and you're for sure on your way to the Hall of Fame, and it's gonna, you know what I mean, like, or Josh Hader, you don't want to deal with that every year. Here, let's make sure we just lock him down for 2-3.
Well, we just talked about Aroldis, and he's the master of the 1-year deal at this point. So,
absolutely.
I mean,
it's not to denigrate the player. It's just it
not.
shows the lack of trust people have in long-term bullpen signings.
Sure.
So, as I say that out of one side of my mouth, here I am talking about would the Pirates ever consider it? I think you'd have to get a hell of a deal, don't you? I think you'd have to like say, listen, first for starters, the arbitration estimate. That's about as much as we ever wanted to get to. We'll do that for 3 years. What do you say? That might be the only way that you can prevent him from getting traded. And that's if you truly believe he's going to be a piece here for 3 more years. Maybe. Look, like honestly, maybe. There was still gas left in the tank when they traded Melanson. And had he who shan't be named not done what he who shan't be named did, then we probably would have thought they moved on just in time because he wasn't as good, right?
Right.
But they probably could have got by with 2-3 more years of him too, being pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's tricky with closers in general. Then it's trickier when they're hometown closers. I would just think you'd want to get out while the getting's good.
Yeah.
They clearly didn't. They clearly have shown they're incapable of handling it when the getting's bad with him. So, like, why not just take this as the gift that it is and move on and get something while the value is the highest? I get it. You're getting rid of a good player, and he looks to have returned to form. I just think that, like, man, it's kind of a miracle we even got back to this point with him. So, like, eventually he's going to regress.
I would think so.
And I just, I mean, it just happens. So, like,
what do they do with the closer position? Because you're in the exact same situation with Dennis Santana. He's not going to get as expensive, but he's going to start costing more next year, and it is his last year of arbitration. So what do you do? You know what I mean? Like,
he's somebody I'd keep.
See, I would keep him too, but I don't know that I would extend him. Because they're just about the same player profile wise, except he's got a way shorter track record. So I guess what I'm asking is, why do I feel that I would keep this one? Because that's my snap judgment. I'd keep this one. I'd move this one. Why do I feel that way? Because David has been here and been good longer than Dennis Santana has. They're roughly the same age and everything. Same exact experience level. Wonder why I feel that way. Is it recency bias because Santana has been good pretty much since he got here after his first outing? And
Yeah,
David's down is so fresh in my mind, because it was so recent and so acute.
I mean, it got real bad, like really bad. Not just like, there's a dip and he's not as effective as he was anymore. Like there was a cliff that he seemed to have fallen off of. So I think that's fair, and I think that's relevant to why you would feel that way. I just feel like, to me, now back to your question, which is closer. I don't necessarily think Dennis Santana, that's the best role for him. But that would probably put him in that role. So you can't lose sight of that fact either, which is, okay, great. You want to move Bednar. Maybe you get a double A guy that's a very good prospect from somebody. It doesn't solve how you're going to replace the guy you just traded to.
Yeah, I would think like if you're going to move on from Bednar, it would probably be a good move as a safety valve to not move Santana, if only because he's a quick answer for next year. He's probably not as good as you want to be at the position, and you could certainly let a kid earn it from him and move him next year, but you have the option to keep him pretty cheap, and he can fill in that spot. You know what I mean? So I think that's what I would probably do is if I move Bednar, I keep Santana. I'm open to moving either, but probably not both. You figure like you still have to finish games, like, so it's not like you can go out and just
it can't be kids. It can't be kids that do that.
It's not like you can just go out and be like, okay, we're going to move Caleb Ferguson, David Bednar, Dennis Santana, and you just start mowing through the list of guys who are on 1-year deals, I just think Chase Sugar would probably be pitching left-handed by the end of the season if you did that. And I just don't think that you can get away with moving all of them. I like how some of the youngsters are coming along. Like Matson looks really good. And I like we talked about Cabrera, but that's a crapshoot, so who knows?
Yeah, let's be honest. It's a flyer at this point.
Yeah, I just think you might have to be a little careful about a complete dumping out of the bullpen, if only just to get through the season.
Right. I agree with you. I don't think you sit there. I think you would, ideally for me, it would be Bednar. I'd keep Santana. I think Josh, someone's mentioned Santana as a safety blanket. I like that analogy with that.
You know what we should do, Jim? Unless you have
What's
anything else to say on this subject, we should take a break and come back and spend the rest of the time talking about this Oneil Cruz saga.
Listen, if anything will keep people coming back for a third segment, it's Oneil Cruz and the completely sane conversation around him.
It's always so based.
Ugh.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum. We're going to talk a little bit about Oneil Cruz.
Gary, I'm just gonna warn you. You say anything bad about Oneil Cruz, the R word's coming out right away, because that's exactly what you are if you are speaking negatively about him.
Okay. Well, I guess I am then, because I'm gonna. I mean, like, I don't think that. First of all, I'm not one of these people that kind of goes off the cliff either direction on
Sure.
any player. I'm probably patient to a fault, but only because, when I see the potential, a lot of the time you can kind of tell guys are a tweak away, or you've seen it, or like Michael McHenry takes it to an extreme, I think, on the pre and post game, or when we've had him on the show, we ask about a player and he always gives you that bright, sunshiny side of everything. That
Yes.
he's like a cunt hair away from like this and this happening.
But that's his personality. That's actually genuine, by the way.
It is. I'm not even talking ill of the guy, but that's
Right.
kind of what he likes to do. And when we pushed him, the last time we had him on, where we were like, okay, Michael, but let's talk for real. All right. Like, I get that, but like, let's talk about the other side too. I think that's when we started to see a little bit more of the, the other side of the conversation. I feel like I can do both of those pretty well most of the time. I think with Oneil, there still is a lot more good than bad. I do think he's in a real rough stretch right now. I think pulling him out of the leadoff spot was a wise decision. And I don't think it had anything to do with his accountability lesson. Do you?
No.
Yeah.
I think that was maybe because other things were going on and they had been thinking about that anyway, that it was just time to do that at that point. I don't think it was on a whim at all.
I think when Shelton put him up there, I know the message. I should stop saying think when I know. I know the message to him was you need to see pitches. You need to see pitches. You need to be part of the lineup. You need to make sure that you're being a good teammate and helping down the line. And I know Donnie Kelly and the crew have told him the opposite now when he's leading off. They want him to be aggressive. They want him to. The numbers I just wrote in 5 thoughts this week for those of you that read my website, they're so stark when he gets to any variation of 2 strikes, Jim. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Do you remember any of them specifically? Because
I can bring them up while you're talking, but I'll
Okay.
just finish my point real quick.
Okay.
It's ridiculous to have him do anything other than swing at the first 2 pitches. I'm just saying, unless they're completely off the plate, he needs to be taking a cut at every fastball. I don't think that was going to change at leadoff because every time Shelton put him there for over a year, they drilled that into his head that he needed to be doing that. And I don't care how many times you say it, that's still what he's thinking up there. And I saw him take aggressive cuts real quick from the 5 spot almost immediately.
Well, and while you're doing that, to me, Cruz is somebody that he can be a bad ball hitter, and if his walks are up, great. But if he's striking out at a crazy pace, which he kind of is, I think that mitigates that. I'd rather have him trying to drive in runs than walks. So
you're gonna love these stats, Jim. You always love this stuff.
Okay, so that's why I wanted you to pull them up. 1 for me, and 2 for people that hadn't read the article. But I just think that I would be encouraging Oneil Cruz to be aggressive, and if it doesn't work out, fine. But the offense needs it. I think he needs it. Yeah. But I do think batting him leadoff sends a mixed message with that.
I would totally agree. So let's see. I'll read you these stats, Jim. I apologize if you are somebody that reads my site religiously and listens to Locked On. You have probably heard and read these already. But getting Jim's reaction for me, fresh for me, is kind of why I'm doing it.
I'm ready.
All right. So Cruz averages 3.9 pitches per plate appearance. I just think you need to know that to start with. Okay. That's not a lot for a leadoff hitter, but for him in his career, it is a little bit up. With an 0-0 count this year, Cruz is hitting .419 with an OPS of 1.567.
That's decent.
1 count this year, Cruz is hitting .467 with an OPS of 1.467.
Was that an 0-1 count?
That's an 0-1 count.
Wow.
Yes. With an 0-2 count, Jim. 0-53 with an OPS of 106. Now that goes down for everybody with an 0-2 count, right? I know
Sure,
2 count
everything
stinks.
drops off the cliff, but that's
So
a big
let's
cliff.
just say ahead in the count. Ahead in the count, he's got a 266 average, OPS of 972. Behind in the count, 125, 393. Even count, 250, 804. And what all these stats say to me is you got to be swinging early, kid. You can't be getting yourself into these trouble counts over and over and over again. They just turn into strikeouts for him. In fact, no matter how many balls he sees, Jim, if he gets 2 strikes on him, meaning every iteration of 2 strike counts, 3-2, everything.
Right.
085.
Wow.
99 Ks, 23 walks, and a 348 OPS. I stop asking him to see pitches, Jim.
Oh man.
Do you get what I mean? Let him play baseball.
Yeah, it's funny because as you're saying these, as you're going through these stats, I'm replaying so many third called strikes in my mind with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he guesses too much, and maybe in 2 strike counts, maybe that's the worst idea. That you're just not trusting your natural ability and your natural instincts.
Right.
That would lead me to believe that that's true, but obviously a ton more goes into it than that. But like, he will straight up watch a grooved 97 mile per hour fastball. So to me, the only thing I can come up with there is he's convinced something else is coming and he's not prepared.
He gets a ton of garbage calls on him too. I mean, like, as tall as he is, I've never seen a player get more low ball calls. Like I can't imagine how you would even expect him to golf some of those balls out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
well, do you want to go into the benching and
yeah?
All this?
I just wanted to talk about the player himself first, because I think the reason that the benching is popular is because he wasn't hitting. Let's just be real. He's not hitting.
That's what I was going to bring up to you. If he was hitting, would people care?
Yeah, in the opposite direction. Because they'd be pissed he got taken out of a game. And they certainly wouldn't have been lamenting the fact that he got right in the next one if he was hitting. Because nobody on this team is hitting. But he's not. So when he's not, he tends to look lazy because he's not running the bases as much, because he's not on them as much. And all you have to go on is the defense that he's going to screw up every once in a while. You know what I mean? And then the lack of effort things, I actually took it as a positive. Don Kelly does something about this stuff, but Derek Shelton didn't. Derek Shelton very much so said out loud and showed through action that he felt it was much better to just try to keep Oneil smiling. Donnie wants to kick him in the ass a little bit.
Yeah, I think snatching a guy in the game out of it, I think, is the best way to do it. That being said, would I have probably sat him another game? Yeah, I probably would have. But only because I don't know that I love his reasoning, Oneil Cruz, that is, which is, well, I thought there was 2 outs. Well, that doesn't make me feel a lot better.
I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all.
But the video kind of backed it up. That's why I'm only giving it some credence. Is like, when you watch how the play unfolds, it looks. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there, Gary, whether it's true or not. But if it is,
I know you didn't always
used
to get ballpark pass seats, so I know that you've sat close enough to the dugout to hear it before, right?
Yeah, but I saw the replay from the game, so I'll just say I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for the sake of argument.
Well,
That's
you're
not a
you're
better.
kinder
That's not a
about it
better.
than I am. I think he's straight up lying. Like he's trying to make himself look like he didn't give up on a play. And I understand it. My what I liked was the way that he accepted what Don Kelly said and seemed to absorb the message and understand the point of it.
That's true.
I just think there's a difference between like what people want to see, which is they want to see him being rapped on the knuckles with a roller, like he's a bad Catholic kid using his left hand. And Don Kelly wants to basically say like, no. That's not how you do it. This is how you do it. This is what we expect. No soak time here. Get out there and do it tomorrow or next time. It will be longer. I think that's probably how it went. And I've always liked the chance to redeem myself quickly, and maybe that's all he was trying to get. An emotional Cruz is much better than what we've seen. He's better when he's either angry or, excited.
Well, focused, for lack of a better term. Look, Oneil Cruz, and I see the comments on social media. I see him here. He's not garbage, people. He's not. He's a very talented player. He clearly struggles with some focus things and doesn't always react to things the right way. However, this is a guy that you should bend over backwards. When I say that, I mean do everything in your power to get him on the right track and keep him focused. If he doesn't figure it out, eventually that's on him, and it will cost him somewhat at some point.
For sure. I mean, he starts costing money next year. Next year he goes into arbitration, Jim. So a lot of the potential conversations that fans get so frustrated about when it's time to stop having those conversations. Well, baseball gives you when it's time to stop having those conversations, when they start costing money, because you don't want to pay money for a guy that isn't, and a guy that hits 25 home runs a year, whatever it is he's going to top out at the way he's hitting right now. Let's say he gets to 25, 30, right? He go make some money in arbitration, bro. He go make some money. Pirates are going to be faced with a decision right away. That's going to be what, a $6 million deal, probably $5-6 million, somewhere in there, I would imagine, for that many home runs. So real quick, you get to quit playing the pissing around game with him. Is he going to turn into something? Well, you're going to make a bet one way or another. So like that game's over.
No, it's true. And like, I said this, oh God, it was probably a couple years ago. To the people who get so upset when you say something bad about Oneil Cruz, I would just say, look, he's super talented. And when you criticize him, it's because you just want him to be great. Is it not okay to want to see greatness out of him? Like we can't ever cross the line of asking him to, instead of showing the flashes of it, just be more consistent with it, or at least put the effort into it. I just feel like, why is it not okay to ask that for a guy like that who has as much talent as anybody that's come through here prior to prime Kutch?
I always say, I mean, I think I just said on social media the other day, God or whatever you believe in gives them the right, the skills or the physical tools, but you have to want to use them. Like you've got to want to make that your life. You've got to be the one to focus and turn it into what you are. Like Sidney Crosby's not the tallest dude in the world, right?
No.
There's nothing special about him except he was born in Canada and he wanted nothing more than to be the best hockey player that he could possibly be for as long as he could possibly do it. To the point where he sacrificed normal life that people have, like getting married
Yeah.
and stuff. You know, like
Right.
you can take it to an extreme like him, or you can kind of just get by and get that 10-year, career from Major League Baseball and be good because you were born good. You know what I mean? Or you can take it to the next level. Some people do, some people don't.
Yeah, and plenty of guys still get paid handsomely for just being good, right? You can get paid a ridiculous amount, or you can get paid a fairly ridiculous amount, and Oneil Cruz still would. So that's a personal thing, a personal decision from him. I just don't see where we've gotten to the point where, when he legitimately does not do something on a baseball field, that you would like him to do better or execute fundamentally. We really have to be able to just say that about him and not have it turn into something that is so off the wall, accusatory and assuming things, Gary, that a lot of people just want to talk about the baseball play. So
that's really all it should be about. Yeah.
Right. Now,
and I think something that gets lost in translation with Oneil Cruz is the reason that it sounds like people are so much harder on him than someone. Because I'll good example. Adam Frazier misplayed a ball in left field, and it got past him. He definitely should have stopped it. Oneil Cruz backed him up. He throws the ball in. People went out of their way to praise him because there's virtue signaling on that side of things too. And then not enough people made a big deal about Adam Frazier messing up, right? And why isn't it the same? You should say the same things about Adam Frazier. I don't think Adam Frazier can do what Oneil Cruz's toenail can do.
Right. It doesn't
Oneil
matter
Cruz
as
gets
much.
extra criticism because Oneil Cruz can do more. Actually, here's a good point too. Like, weren't people just hard on Sawinski? Same thing though. We saw Sawinski hit 26 home runs in this league. We know he can. So he gets extra scrutiny because he isn't. We know what's in there. We've seen Cruz take over for weeks.
And
we just want to see it.
And isn't that fair?
It should be.
It's fair.
I know how you hate Swedish people and blonde kids from Illinois. So I get why you were so hard on Jack, but
I was like, that was totally. I'm like, where are we going with this, and why can't I remember what we're talking about? No, but like that's why Jack got some of that, right?
Because he can do it, right? Like you don't get mad. Okay, there was a time to get mad at Brian Hayes, and it was when you first started seeing like, where's this power that was there, right? Well, now in the year 2025. I'm no longer mad at Brian Hayes for not hitting home runs. I don't expect them anymore.
Yeah, expectations are such a big part of it, right? Like
exactly.
I think people that gets glossed over, and
but
like,
to have that twisted into racism and and name calling, and there are people that just he's stupid. He's not trying to screw up. Okay.
No. And he's not stupid. So
he's barely, and he's not a problem in the locker room either. Everyone loves him.
Yes. No, like here's the thing. This is what happens on social media too, is like you have all the people on one. No, let me rephrase that. You have a select few people on one side criticizing him ridiculously, and there probably are racial overtones or undertones to it.
And because one person does it, everyone has to agree with it, right?
Right. But then you have people on the other side that just assume that everything that's being said about him negative is like what those people are saying.
Yep.
And so there is the problem, right? Like there's nobody talking about in the middle, which is just, can we not ask him to be a more consistent player and realize his full potential? Can we not do that?
Yeah, I think we can. I think we currently are. And actually, geez, again here, Davis. It's going to happen with Davis. It already is happening with Davis. You know, I mean, like Davis is already being held to a standard that is ridiculous. Like it's impossible to call Henry Davis a bust because he's already a proven major league backstop. That kid right now, right this moment, if he stays healthy, 10-year career easy in the bag. Don't have to be here, but a catcher that can do what that kid can do, he's got a career. He is a major league baseball player. Whether that bat ever comes along again or not. Does that make him a bust at 1-1? I guess Bob Smizik. God, can't wait till you retire from social media too.
I was going to say, I think he already did, but another one may be in order.
My goodness. Anyways, Jim, good talk, man. A lot of topics this week that were kind of like back and forth for us. We had I think we both could probably have covered both sides of every single argument we had today, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I think that's fun sometimes to do too, which is, you have to even if it's not truly like what you eventually would land on, it's good to take the other side and at least try to explain it from that side. And then you normally figure out that like, okay, well, there's gray area with a lot of things.
Right. I agree, man. And next week is our 200th episode. So that'll be pretty exciting. We'll have a good time doing that one, huh?
Yeah, we'll bring some drinks and we'll have some fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good time, man. And then don't forget to get your questions in for Travis Snyder and stop at Shop Yins. Taylor did a great job this week on the Call Your Shots, so make sure you check him out and get more Call Your Shots in too. We really enjoy those. I think that's all I got.
Rich had a good question too, so appreciate those.
Yes, for sure. Let's toss it off to your son so you can remember what his eye used to look like before you allowed him to be injured.
Let's go, Bucks!
Yeah, buddy.